I've been getting a lot of questions on how to use ShowKontrol, and I figured I would take the time in this video to kind of give you guys a 10,000 foot view on how I use ShowKontrol. And it all starts over here on the CDJs and the DJM. The Pro DJ network is a way that all Pioneer devices kind of communicate with each other and share BPM information, track metadata, and the track files themselves between themselves. And for the longest time, there was no real way of getting that information out of the Pro DJ Link ecosystem. Pioneer kind of kept it pretty locked down, and you kind of had to hack into the system, so to speak. But now, with this little piece of software, we can, in real time, translate BPM and metadata and track position information into signals that we can use to control lighting desks, for example, or to control video media servers. And even though it's kind of a simple idea, it's pretty much acting as a translator. It's determining the positions of tracks and adding what's called an offset and spitting out a SMPTE timecode signal. In this instance, I'm going to show you how we use it, or how I use it through a 3.5 millimeter jack and distribute that to the MA. So at its heart, it's really a translation software. Previously, if you've seen some other older videos on time coding visuals to CDJ sets, usually it involves like multiple players and syncing them up, and we just don't have to do that anymore. Thankfully, the boys over at TC Supply have put together a pretty cool piece of kit. Unfortunately, it only runs on Mac, so I had to purchase a laptop in order to run the already very expensive software, but it's really worth it. So yeah, let's kind of trace the signal flow here, and I'll show you how it works. So we start over here at the CDJs. We have a USB flash drive that is plugged into one of the decks. Now that one flash drive can be read across up to 4 players right now. And the mixer communicates with the CDJs as well and shares BPM information back and forth, as well as fader position info. So you can see the deck turns red when I bring the fader up on its corresponding player number. You can see we've got player number 3 here, and the on-air display is on for player number 3 on the mixer. Pretty straightforward, right? Well, it goes even one step further. Over in ShowKontrol, we can see player number 3, and it has a red outline because the fader is up. So not only do you get BPM information and track position information, you also get fader position information over in ShowKontrol, which is super cool. So what happens, let's play this track without audio for a second. We can see that we are, if I change my time mode, about 7 to 10 seconds into the track. What ShowKontrol is doing, it is adding an offset to allow you to program different tracks at different offsets. So within the set list window, you can see all of the tracks that have different offsets. And it basically makes your programming life a whole lot easier to just have like a big spreadsheet with all the tracks in the set, the offsets for those tracks, and then you can work between different departments. Like if you've got a person programming the lighting and a person programming visuals, then you guys can all agree on that particular offset and do your programming independently. So in ShowKontrol, we have 4 decks along the bottom here. Each one of these sections indicates or represents 1 deck, and you can have up to 4 players connected and playing tracks at the same time. Now, if you just want to view what the DJs are doing, there's a viewer tab, but most of the time you're going to be spending on the live tab, where you can change the input and output routings of the layers. So you have 2 layers, A and B. Right now I just have layer A assigned. You can see 1 line of green on layer A. But if I turn on layer B and I go and restart the track because we just ran out of time, that's the other thing to note. This method allows DJs to do any sort of normal performance tricks that they would use in their set. They don't have to be beholden to specific timecode friendly techniques of playing. So here we see we're routed to both A, B, and then also M. M is interesting because it's the master layer, and it can output over MIDI. So you can actually use MIDI timecode to output to devices that take MIDI in. I'll be making a separate video about how to get ShowKontrol MIDI timecode into MA without using any audio cables. So it's easy to see what's going on here, but it becomes a little more obvious when I unplug. So really all that's happening is ShowKontrol is translating those offsets into SMPTE timecode, and I am sending it down this 3.5 1/8 inch jack. That 1/8 inch jack is coming over into this DI, and then this DI, the reason I'm using a DI is because I can then send this out to sound card for Resolume using XLR into a Scarlett, and then the through on this goes into the LTC input on the back of the desk. So that goes into here, and that is timecode slot 1 on the MA. And what's really nice about this is you can listen to stereo tracks, and you can do all the programming at home with your speakers without having to split the signal like you would traditionally do if you're using like a left-right split. Instead, you can just have access to everything, stereo audio, as well as all of the SMPTE audio over that 1/8 inch jack. And even further, you can control ShowKontrol using ArtNet to send triggers to this software. So you can automate assigning different layers, because when a DJ is switching into a new track, I only have 1 LTC input on 1 desk. So I need to have the capability to remotely switch which deck is listening, or which deck is outputting rather, to which layer. So you can see we have an A and a B per deck. Right now I only have 1 deck connected, deck 3. But if we had 4 connected, you'd see all 4 populated here, just like this one. And we can have A and B assigned to completely different decks. So if they're mixing out of deck 3 and into deck 4, you can be mixing video signals. And then, yeah, that's the way I have it set up, at least. You also have cue lists and show. And it's really just as simple as having a Cat5 cable running from the ShowKontrol computer into the network switch that is connecting the Pro DJ Link gear. And it has to be Nexus 2 gear or XDJ 1000 Mark IIs. That's like the one downside of using ShowKontrol versus other means. Let's just put it that way. And so far, I really like it. I've done 2 tours with ShowKontrol so far, and yeah, it's been really, really useful. And it's nice that they're actively developing the software, and they listen to feedback and complaints. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where the software goes, and hopefully I'll be making some more tutorials on it. This again is just like a overview of how it's connected and how I have it set up. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.